Greetings and welcome to NASCAR America Debrief. I'm Nate Ryan, joined by Kyle Petty, Rutledge Wood, Steve Letarte. We are here on YouTube, the NBC Sports Motorsports channel, to take your questions, take some calls from NASCAR America, and I'll be monitoring the comments here on the YouTube page. So if you have any comments or questions, you should leave them there, and I'll get to them. And we're going to start with a caller, though. Let's go to Bill. Bill, you're on.
Yeah. Hey, how you guys doing? I just wanted to let you know I met you guys at Darlington for the Fan Friendly Friday last year, and it was pretty nice meeting you. But the question I got is, what is the difference between the restrictor plate and the taper plate they're talking about using this year? Is it just a different name for the restrictor plate or what?
Good question, Bill. I think that's a crew chief question. So
you want to start with that, Rod? You want me to start with that?
You want me to take that? Bill, great question. First off, the parade at Darlington is a bright spot on our calendar every year. So much so that we told A.J. Allmendinger, whether you're on air that weekend or not, you'll be there if you're a part of this team. And he said yes. On this, I missed the second part of the question.
Okay. Highlight Darlington Parade. Lieutenant Danny Brown from Live PD was there. That was a big, big moment for me. So, Bill, it's very simple. A restrictor plate is a real thin piece of 1/8-inch steel with stamped holes in it. A tapered spacer is a much thicker piece of aluminum that has holes actually machined in it, and they're at a taper. The idea being this, that a restrictor plate, because of its thickness, can be very, very sensitive to the diameter of the hole. The machined piece of aluminum, much less sensitive to variance, therefore not quite as tough to inspect. People can, teams can seal them on at the beginning of the weekend. And the story goes, they hope it'll have a little better throttle response. I'm not a driver. And Kyle's never driven one.
No, I've never driven one.
So probably the same type of racing. So appreciate that question, Bill.
There we go. He just dismissed that. Probably the same type of racing.
We got the technical answer.
Feel good about the last there I got in.
But we should say
that was a good answer. Good answer.
The idea is part of the reason they're changing. They're trying to give a certain. If you look at the way the torque curve works,
he didn't want to answer. Now he has all the answers.
No, but truly, they are trying to give.
No, they are. They are. You're right.
They're trying to do it in such a way that it's a more linear torque curve.
He's got me fooled. Let's go to YouTube for a comment more than a question. Paperman has noted that Kyle Petty doesn't seem like he's a big fan of cooperation between different teams. Obviously,
I'm not.
We just learned that in the last segment of NASCAR America. Are you a fan of cooperation?
But let me say. Hold on. Let me say this. Let me. I think that the sport is changing and has to change and has to evolve into something different. Okay, but this has always been me against you. It's always been man against man. Okay, when we take this sport and make it into a team sport, and then we step out our team and make it into a manufacturing team sport, so now it's multiple teams ganging up on multiple teams, I'm not sure I like that. I'm just not sure that I can wrap my head around that, and I'm struggling with that. And that's a Kyle problem because a lot of fans do like it. So I'm just saying it's me more than anything else.
We're talking about Hendrick Motorsports and Joe Gibbs Racing cutting a deal in the Daytona 500 because the Fords had so many people. I mean, my question to you, Steve, would be, coming off of this, what Kyle is saying, hasn't it always been this way, though? I mean, manufacturer alliances have been part of the deal.
Before that deal was ever made, the racing on Thursday was not good in Daytona. And it was not good because the guy in second and third wasn't racing. Because they said, oh, this is a good place for me to ride, and I'm not supposed to pass the Ford in front of me, so the Ford in second is going to ride behind, and the guy in third is going to ride behind. So I say this tongue-in-cheek because if I was on a pit box, I would say this is how we should do it because I do like the strategy to run well. But I'm not a big fan. Nate, how many years ago did you write the story? Go ahead. I know you want to get out there.
4 years ago.
What don't I like? I don't like drivers going to have tea together.
That's right.
I don't like them hanging out.
Guys,
I know. But here's the thing. And I want to explain Kyle Petty's position here. There is, BE before Earnhardt's accident and AE after Earnhardt's accident. And the sport has changed after Earnhardt's accident in a lot of different ways. But if you go back before that, we didn't have team racing. We didn't have guys teaming up pre-2001, pre-2002 like that. You didn't have guys lining up, but we didn't have the rules package. We didn't have the way that we are now. So the sport has continued to change, and it dictates that we have this type of racing. It dictates and makes it go where I'm a Ford guy, you got to go with me. Ford's helping all of us. We've all got to help. Toyota's helping all of us. We all got to help each other. Before it was, okay, here I am. Earnhardt passes me on the outside. I know he's a bad A. I'm going to jump in behind him and go. I don't care if I'm in a Dodge or a Ford or a Prius. I don't care. I'm going to go with the fastest car. We don't see guys go with the fastest car much anymore.
You know, we didn't until the green-white checker. Then it was, hey, what boat's going to the front? Michael McDowell didn't care what line he was in. Joey Logano didn't care what he was pushing. So I love the Daytona 500 because you know what? In the end, they said, you know what? A trophy's on the line. I'm going to go.
Well, to me, the craziest part is that I don't have time. When you watch that video and you watch McDowell and how he's thinking, you don't truly have enough time to think like, all right, well, okay, Joey's in a Ford. No, the whole thing that's crazy to me is being on a racetrack, you have a finite amount of time to make a decision. If it was me, I got to get up to the front to win this thing. So if I'm on the third row or the second row, I don't really care who's behind me. I don't really care who's in front of me. I just know that if it's not me out front, then I need to do something differently.
All right, well, obviously, we'll see how this unfolds. Next restrictor plate race, Talladega Superspeedway in April. Let's go to a caller. We have Brian in California. Brian, what do you think?
How we doing, guys?
Good.
Good. Hey, listen, a huge shout out to small town tracks, Kern County Raceway, first off.
Yeah.
We can't forget about where the boys all started. And over my years watching NASCAR and attending, coming up on my 188th race here in March at Vegas.
That's awesome.
Good for you, man.
That's awesome, Brian.
What's your question, though, Brian? What you got for us?
I apologize. After following Kyle for over 13 years now, this Daytona was huge, not only for Gibbs, especially for JD and Hamlin. But my question is to you guys, and of course, mainly Kyle's input because his mouth is wonderful. Have you ever seen Kyle comply as a teammate as much as this, knowing he wanted that 500, nothing more than anything? But as a fan, I haven't. What is your input?
All right, you're talking about Kyle Busch. You're
Busch.
wondering
Yes,
if
yes.
he is a good teammate, I think, is the question.
I think he's
from
a good
Brian.
teammate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think without a doubt, the final two restarts, he showed he was a good teammate.
But I think he's shown that he's a good teammate before. You know what I mean? And you talked to Matt Kenseth, who went over there and went into that organization, and he talked about, you know, the things that Kyle brought to the competition meetings and how he was so open with. The thing is, Kyle is such a talented driver. Kyle can tell you what he's got and how he does it, but that doesn't mean you can do it. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's the way all great drivers are in a lot of ways. They'll give you everything they got because they know you can't do it because you're not at that level. But I think he's a great teammate. I think, you know, this was a huge disappointment for him. I think it really was. And it'll take him it still stings a little bit, I'm sure, and it'll take a while.
Fans don't like him because he wins a lot, because he's outspoken. Competitors don't like him because he's hard to beat.
Yep.
It's really that, you know, kind of that simple.
And when you see what I think is really great is if you look at where Kyle Busch started in this sport and the things he said, he has proven to be one of the greatest drivers we've seen. But understandably, he is one of the most competitive people
for sure.
out there. And you're talking about 40 of the most competitive people in the world, and you put them in one place. When you see disappointment like that, it's hard for any person to, in that moment, stop and be honest enough to say, here's what happened, here's what I did. Like, I give huge props to that because there's just not a lot of sports where you see people run up to someone like, man, you really sucked there. Wow, second.
Right.
You just this must feel
But we're
awful.
going to have a lot more of that now because we're a team sport.
Oh, Kyle's so mad.
Let's get back to it. Appreciate that phone call, Brian. Let's go to YouTube for our next question. Got a comment from George Alexander. With Jimmie Johnson's career getting into its later years, who do you think will be the next main driver at Hendrick Motorsports? Is this a laydown answer? Does everybody think Chase Elliott? Maybe already has surpassed.
I was getting ready to say,
Jimmie
going
Johnson.
to be.
Yeah, going to be. That's what I was going to say. I mean, that's the position that it's in. He's the guy right now. You know, he's the elder statesman of the other group. When you look at it, you know, so I mean, they've just gone back and started over again, which is great.
I mean, it was Jeff Gordon, then it was Jimmie Johnson, and now I think it's Chase Elliott. But I want to get on record to say that when Jimmie Johnson won the Clash, he had a little bit of Kyle Petty in him, which is basically, I don't care what you think, and I don't care what you think. I don't even care if you drivers want to come hang out with me. Yeah. And I'm telling you, a completely free-spirited Jimmie Johnson is a very dangerous Jimmie Johnson. Sure. So I think he is. I think we're going to see a different Jimmie Johnson.
Do you think that side is coming up because he went winless last year for the first time and feels
I think
pressure?
Winless. I think different crew chief.
The breakup. I mean, like, we keep glossing over. Dude, the breakup with Chad and what those two, like the tale of two Daytonas, Chad saying, I'm going to show you guys that I'm the reason Jimmie won so many races. So I'm going to get Byron.
Not even the reason. I think he just wants to say, listen, I want to show you how good I am.
Yeah,
right?
He wanted validity.
Yeah,
That's he's just looking for that. But also, Jimmie's over there going, hey, I came for 8+. And I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. But I think what that shift you're talking about with Jeff and Jimmie, I think it's Chase, but I think it's Bowman. I think the skills that Alex Bowman brings to the wheel and seeing where his confidence is, I think those two are going to keep kind of going up.
That's Bobby. You know where he has to take all that talent? Victory lane. Until he does that, it's Chase Elliott.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
No, I mean, I think it's Chase and Bowman as the Jeff and Jimmie.
Next caller, please.
Next question. All right. Let's go back to the phones.
I don't even know what
Johnny has a question for us.
Brian,
Johnny,
your mouth is wonderful, and he was right.
Are you with us, Johnny?
I sure am.
All right. What is your question?
My question is probably for Steve, but I raced karts for years, and on a cold track, it's slick for a kart. And I've been around NASCAR for years, and on a cold track in a stock car, it's tight. What's the difference?
So I would say that it's different. A cold track at Charlotte, Vegas, Atlanta, cooler track, more grip. The tires are going to love it. The biggest difference, the radial tire versus what you were running on your car. But I will say, we've seen it before. KP, I know you've seen it. You go to Martinsville, you go to Richmond, you go to Phoenix on a cold track, it's anything but grip. It doesn't come in right away. So it's not a guaranteed balance shift. But you remember, I think the big thing is no tire warmers like an open wheel. If there were tire warmers, stickers are already good, they'd be even better. I think that's the biggest thing, right? I mean, lack of downforce, cold, not good. Downforce goes up, cold track's better.
One thing Steve found is if you don't have the wheel lock key to the wheels on your car, it really doesn't matter if the track's cold or hot.
Can't change a flat.
You really can't change a flat. So that's what we've learned.
And
we're on time here. Next call.
That those are one-offs, and if you don't have them, they will have to Ziz wheel the lug nuts off your vehicle. That's for another story.
Right. Good knowledge here on NASCAR America Debrief. Let's go back to YouTube for some comments. You got to go soon, I think.
Yes,
so I got one specifically for you. Well, first I've got a comment from you from Jim Paul Jr., who loved the jacket you wore at the 2018 awards banquet.
Thank you.
Wants to know where you can get one.
Thank you. Yeah, Shinesty made that jacket, and I'm working on something. I get to go do the Kentucky Derby. But I said, why don't we, for the banquet this year, what if we all get matching NASCAR and NBC logoed suits?
Okay. I'm not doing that. Okay. Now I got a real question for you.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I'll be
go ahead.
Here's your real question, and everybody can take this, but your car guy, as I said, Ryan Cole wants to know any possibility of the Gen 7 car having V6 turbo engines or more spec parts.
Now you guys you were in when the turbos hit the track before, right? That was mid 80s.
I've never seen a turbo.
No, I thought I'm sorry, the 6 cylinders. Six cylinders. When did they run the 6 cylinders?
Early 80s.
Early 80s.
Early
okay.
80s.
That was like the Regal T-type
6-cylinder.
Yeah, they wouldn't stay together. Yeah. You know, the harmonics in them just blew them to smithereens.
Yeah.
They struggled with them. They were good. Buick had a good V6. And I don't. God only knows. We're going to go to electric engines.
Right. Not a V6 conversation.
Yeah.
I do think that, I'm not saying the Gen 7, but I do think that the engine architecture will change in the future to match more what you can buy in a production car. What that is, there's some executives at dealerships or manufacturers, they're going to tell us.
Yeah, but the space are bringing the horsepower down and getting some of
why
that.
build the 800 horsepower engine?
You can get to that. You can get to that horsepower a different way.
But it's, I will say.
Are you flying on that airline? We saw that video of that guy earlier.
No, different one.
What a great
one. I don't fly Southwest. The cool thing to me about turbos is the power that you can make and the technology. But at this point, the weirdest thing to me is that we won't let teams into that ECU. So if you're trying to use turbos, you have to have.
We're not using turbos. This is a moot point.
You have
to
have
the next question.
The tuning is such a big component.
Thank you, people.
That you'd have to let these.
I feel like with each question
we have lost this conversation.
We just keep making you angry and angry.
I know, because it makes no difference. We're not using turbos.
Welcome to my world. Hopefully, Mary on the phone does not want to talk about either. Mary, do you have a question for us?
Yeah, I do. Who's going to be the first team to have the win taken away for cheating?
Good question, Mary.
Thanks for that. Mary, I'm going to say that a team will absolutely have in the win taken away for cheating, but I am not going out on that diving board to let you know what team.
Who do you think it's going to be?
You're not going to go out on that limb like I did with Kevin Harvick in Atlanta? You're not going to give us a name?
Mary, who do you think it's going to be?
I'm not getting on it.
That's what I'm thinking.
Who?
Kevin Harvick.
God, Mary, come on.
Okay.
Hey,
Are
he's
you
my
serious?
guy.
Wait a minute. You guys are killing me today.
That's a second.
That's your guy, and you think he's going to cheat.
He's my guy, but he's been busted too many times.
I mean,
Too many times.
Mary is right. Twice last year at Las Vegas and Texas, Harvick had wins that would have been taken away under this policy.
Or as Jimmy Spencer would say, twice.
Twice.
Missed that.
Twice, Mary. Thanks for calling, Mary.
Twice.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
You
Thanks,
too,
Mary.
Mary.
Okay, one more on that. You don't have to name a team, but how about a race? At what point in the season will we see a DQ?
Atlanta?
That's good.
I say within the first 10 weeks. Because what's going to happen is you get a little bit closer to that mark, a little bit closer, a little bit closer.
So I honestly don't think it's going to be. Here's what I think. Ready? Here's the crystal ball. I'm going to shake it. Atlanta, no problem. West Coast, no problem. You get home from the West Coast, you're not fast enough. You tweak some cars. Second wave of races, someone's out.
That's what I was going to say. It's not going to happen in these first.
Somebody's going to be really sad
and
on Sunday night.
Good point, because that's what I was going to say. It's not going to happen because those cars are already ready. They know where they're at. And I think they're
you
back
think
here.
you're going to be fast enough. You don't get
so once everybody sort of tests the waters and figures out where things are, you come back to the West Coast.
And
that's when
you know
things
what
get
you
real.
don't want to be? You don't want to be the driver in that car because you will absolutely become the poster child for every fan that thinks, oh, you're the world's greatest cheater and no one before you has ever
Nothing wrong with that
limits.
title, people. Nothing wrong with that title.
Holy
All right, we got another YouTube comment from or question from Jen Simpson. Do we think all of Joe Gibbs Racing's cars will make the playoffs?
Oh, we just had this conversation out there.
Oh, did we? Oh, okay. I was afraid like we had on the show.
No, we had the whiteboard conversation. So
You were the one with the pencil in your hand.
So let's see. Let's start. Kyle Busch. Quickly, I'll say yes. Danny Ham, I'm feeling pretty good about him so far.
Feeling really good.
Right.
So that leaves the 78. I'm only going to say 78 to probably February.
Right.
The 19 of Truex and the 20 of Eric Jones. I think I'm pretty confident 4 for 4.
Yeah, I am too.
So a bigger question: 4 for 4 on wins. Let's move it. Since we all agree they're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Are they 4 for 4 on wins making the playoffs?
Yeah.
Or is someone going to point their way in?
Yeah,
I think they win.
Which of those four doesn't win, right?
I think they win their way in. I think this is going to be a big year for Eric Jones.
So I am right there with you.
I do, man. I just think it's going to be a big year.
All right, one more question from the YouTube section. Let's just keep it on Gibbs. Somebody wants to know opinion on Daniel Suarez, or no, sorry, well, not on Gibbs anymore. Stewart Haas Racing was Gibbs. Daniel Suarez being in a new team this year. This person, Daniel Vom, asked this question. I haven't seen him in the lower classes. He really struggled last year in some of the best cars. Do we think he will be better?
Daniel Suarez at the end of 2000.
Champion? Daniel Suarez, who won races in the XFINITY Series?
He says he hasn't seen him in the lower classes. So Daniel missed that.
Daniel Suarez, XFINITY champion. You might want to check that out.
So
check
listen,
that out.
hey.
Google XFINITY champions.
Daniel Suarez at the end of 2019. I'm not going to use points. 2019 will be second at Stewart Haas Racing in best stats.
If you're going to send me a question, know what you're talking about.
Daniel Suarez is going to outrun consistently.
Eric Almirola.
Yes.
And Clint Boyer. I mean, better than Boyer.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Can I ask one question before we go?
Yes.
Are you still mad that when we went to do racing routes that I wanted to go to P.F. Chang's when we were in Monterrey, Mexico?
We go to Monterey, Mexico, and he wants to go to P.F. Chang's. Who goes to...
That seems like
no, but I will say my man showed me dim sum. Do I say that correctly?
Dim sum.
In Las Vegas, I had never had it.
Life-changing.
It was life-changing.
Right? You're welcome.
Dim some nice plaid shirts is what I'm getting
Dim sum, good times. Daniel Suarez is a fantastic driver. I believe he's going to
No turbos.
You got a flight. Get out of here.
I think we should wrap it up.
I think we're going to wrap it up there. Thanks to Stevie. Thanks to Rhett. Thanks to Kyle. If you were on the phone and we didn't get to you, we love you. Please call back next week. We promise we'll get to you then. Thanks for watching NASCAR America Debrief.
If we say anything you don't like, tweet Kyle.
Please. Please.
But it was actually